Now, for obvious reasons in the CTP paradox, is a reason I'm just not going to go teeing off on Anton. Rob, the general, doing just fine. Which brings me to you, Leonard.
Give us a verbal stretch. Let's get right into it. Let's take a look at
Well, for me,
Grammarly does more than catch errors.
Like I'm
With
use
Grammarly,
Stoker,
you can
AC,
find really good, perfect
combat
words
veteran,
that make your writing sharp,
backbone.
or explicit, or excellent, or distinctive. As a matter of fact,
tangent of x. So the
What
first
if
thing
you
we're
can't
going to
find
identify
them?
is
I'm going to
do
close
we
my
have
eyes
any
and hear
sort of vertical
and
shift?
drills. I remember that one.
Vertical shifts have to happen at the end of your function. So after your function happens in the add or subtract. So we don't
Now
have
that's a hard
there's nothing being add or
skid steer
subtract, which
manual
means that
after
our
all
x-axis is where we're
to
going to put our
jump
period.
why I
The
would
next
need
thing
to
we
do
do is
that.
talk about that
So
period.
I'm going to hit
our period for
right in the
tangent
field
is
theory
based on
manual,
pi.
tie
That's
you right
how
into what
often
you have
it
questioned
cycles.
about, check your chi. You blinkety winkety
But
tomcats
we
up here.
also know that we can adjust that period or give it a
This is one of those
stretch
ideas. You'll be
impression.
going all
Like
kinds of
divided by
crazy.
whatever
I
that
did
number
it.
is.
I'm
Now,
going to
that's
make you do
one.
it. Look at that thing right there.
Then our period
Holy
is just
cow.
pi. So here's what I'm going to teach you.
Interesting.
With tangent, it's very important to understand that the period of tangent is pi, but it's centered around 0 or centered
I
around
don't
that
know what that
y
means half the damn
axis.
time, to be perfectly
So
honest
if
with you.
that's the center
Firing
of
out
the
a bunch
period,
of ones and
well, then
zeros.
how can we put a period of pi?
Data compression to
Well,
me
we
goes
don't
straight
wanna
to
go
the
all
stone
the way
mill. I
over
want
to
those
pi.
kids
Now
to
think
stay
about that.
on the
Think about why
line.
that is. If we
I
went
want
all
them
the way
to
the
hit
right pi,
the
and all
special
the way to the
forces
left
while they're
pi,
heading down at
that would
first.
be
Why
two
blink
periods of
meow?
2
God
pi
damn
from
it!
the very far left to the very far right. That's a problem. So here's how I always approach doing the period of tangent. I start at 0.
Teachers
If
will
we do
do
not
it
have a
this
phase
way
shift, if we're not
because
shifting
you
left
don't
or right, I
know
start
the
at 0,
differential and
and I
sharp
take
case well enough to
that,
know who
whatever
I would
this
be
is,
talking
and then
to
divide
right
by
now.
2. That's going to give me the interval to the right, and then negative gives me the interval to the left. So I'm going to take a look at that and go, okay, pi divided by 2 is
Close enough.
pi over 2. That's going to be our rightmost end of our period.
Because I like to have fun with my students. This would be kind of my comprehensive. I would hit the zoom on my HP for $300, start cranking them on the stock limit for what it is.
Now, what's nice
Now,
about this
obviously,
is
from the
wherever we
$300
have that
90-day
zero,
goddamn
shift it, then
AR
where we
boot
shift it
barn
acts like a
standard.
0. That's fine.
I'm going to
Where
get
we
your
have
Tesla,
that,
everything
that's
else,
the
it'll come
center
up.
of
Yeah,
our period
you
for
might
tangent,
miss it.
which means you have
And in my
this
thesis,
sort of
that's not going to
symmetry as
change
far as your
this
period is
line if
concerned.
you decide
So
to do
if we're
something
pi over
different
2
on the
to
paper
right,
trades, right?
And this is the center.
Take
pi over
extra
2
work,
to the
different
left, that's
timeline to what the
left-hand side
differential will
of that
be.
particular period.
Hopefully it would be on this system we're going to talk about in class. And help each other as a group inside of these businesses.
We just make it negative. Now, so
Money.
that we've determined we have no vertical shift, we have this period
So
of
that's
pi.
that kid. I want
Think
them
about
sitting
it.
in the
From
room.
negative pi over 2 to
I want
positive
them in the
pi over
room
2,
on here,
you have to be
graphing
thinking,
Mario,
yes, that is a period
Bernoulli,
of
banging
pi.
out the
There's
house,
half a pi
blueprints,
here, half a pi there, and all that, one half a
Bob
pi,
Rossi,
goes another half a
ZBrush
pi.
beating the
That
devil
full
out of
pi
it to
is
build
delicious.
the.
So that's
This is
that's
all
our
going to
period
go
for this.
Ben Eater,
Now,
ones and zeros,
what
8-bit
happens
clock,
next?
pumping
Some of
out
the
code
key
to
features that we
reset.
understand about
Click. I
tangent.
want to base out
Understanding
that house in the
at
stone
the
mill.
ends of
I
your
want to
period, you're
base
gonna have a
out that
vertical
girl in the
asymptote.
bar.
So we're going to put that up there. We're going to put
Her
vertical asymptote
graphing
at the
you.
periods right here at negative pi over 2 and right here at pi over 2.
I don't know, the prison systems, and most of them aren't going to do it, most aren't going to listen. I can only push so damn hard before the differential turns back on it. Gotta test it. I know it'll happen. I know it'll happen. This is gravity right here. This is your damn dream, happy, imaginary, general relativity problem from the hot plasma state of the universe here.
Which is nice that it has 0.
Yeah, what are those? Star Wars, one of those planes, and then you break it down into twister theory.
If it's 0, that's very convenient. If it's not 0, you might have to do a little
It's more
math
about
there, but figure
a
out,
psych
in
on
this case, it's just
mathematicians
pi over
than
4.
it is
How you can always do it is
twister
add
theory.
these
Now,
up and divide
Penn's
by
still
2.
alive.
That will
You
average
know,
them
this
or find
is
the middle,
backwards,
find
but
that.
in
And
a
so
mere
that's gonna be pi
force,
over 4.
you should be able to know that I just had my clear calculus class from on computer or whatever he's doing to stand on the other side of it and be like, hey, it's actually these that are more important to you, and I'm going to push that, but I got a whiteboard. Oh,
And of course, the same thing.
kid
negative
that's
pi over
out there
4, symmetry
on
is
the
great for us on
second
the period.
where I got
So
this
some
Penn's row,
important things are
the
gonna
kid's
happen,
like, yeah, why don't you
with
move along
tangent
about
and
that
the
lightning bolt
corners.
just straight
And
down,
this is
because
what I-
Penn's row
what I
being a
always do.
goddamn
I always do the
marshmallow,
vertical shift. I always
after
find my
all,
period
would
second.
have
I
a
always write it
momentum
out
in
there,
there,
make
the
sure
big
my
Draga
my
alpha,
asymptotes are
beta
the ends,
problem,
my
and what
x
this
intercepts are the
does.
center. I find my quarters first. My first quarter, second quarter is the middle, and then the third quarter is
Right
right
there.
before the end of that
Somewhere's
period.
in here.
This is what's going to give me my.
Was
what I
that a
call
fun
key
Jimmy
points.
right there?
So
Well,
here's how
that's
key points work. Take your first
Lagrangian
quarter.
particles, last action, Euler's, Lagrangian. I think Bernoulli. Somebody cranking Bernoulli's work did it. And I should get his
And
name
your
here. I
third
think you'll see
quarter,
that in.
Remember that tangent climbs, cotangent faults. Tangent naturally climbs.
I
So
watched
you're
the
going
guy
to have
doing
a
some stuff.
negative one and a positive one. That's where we get our key points from. So you'll notice in the
I
last
can
video, I
make
really
it
didn't give you
2,
like
1,
the
or
negative
1.
power
I can
four,
make
power
it.
four
Well, nothing
specifically. I
is
just
nothing.
said, hey, in the
1
first quarter,
is
you're going to have
1.
negative 1.
M1
and
and
the third quarter,
M2.
you're going to have positive 1.
MM,
Now, here's why we do
M2,
that.
X me, I'm
Whatever
living
our
here.
coefficient of our
This is
function
my
is,
house. I wouldn't care if it
that
was
number
Leonard.
right there,
Hopefully you'd be
it's
looking me
going to
right down the
affect
barrels, and I'm
your
like,
key
no.
points.
The
So the whole
trick
thing
is a
that we go
cyclic
through in tangent and later
on what
cotangent
2
is,
pi is
find
here,
your
because I'm going to
vertical
put a
shift,
ball
put
in
it on the
there.
graph.
Has a
Find your
graph of
period,
that
put it on the
area.
graph.
That's a little bit
Find
lensed,
the
but it's
ends
a
for
topology,
asymptote,
3
center,
blue, 1 blue.
x-intercept,
Hit that stuff. You
quarters,
put it
and
out on the
create
internet,
yourself
fair
your
usage, and I'm
original
going to
key points.
redesign it.
First quarter,
Brick and
negative 1,
dryer
third quarter, positive 1.
conjecture
And
knocks the
then
corners
if you have
off of
anything
it,
being multiplied
and
right here,
you know,
that is going to
brick and
multiply
sand dryers
those 2 key
conjecture.
points.
That's not in
It's
this one.
going to do
But
a
while we're
verb
getting around the
stretch or
Hadron
regression,
Collider about
and whether that number is
the
larger
pinball,
than
I got to
1
ramp
or
it up,
smaller
get
than
1.
It can also
Ramp it up,
reflect
get
if
1.
it's
This is a
negative.
line.
And so we
Walk through the
check that
stone
out.
mill. I'd clock in IMA reviews. Those are the things. Oh,
So
and
for
then
us, because
arbitrarily
that's free,
graph to
we're gonna
figure out money
multiply this
inside.
by
Yeah.
3.
And if guys miss the step inside of there consistently,
input.
it comes up in
You can't
actions and
change
spooky
that period.
distances.
That would have happened
Like if
here
I
inside
base
of
that
some
out to the
parentheses.
SAW
That's not the
program,
idea.
and I
This
just
is
found,
effective
well, why do you got
output.
0
Look at
cutouts
why
during
that
the
would
day when
happen.
you got to pull
You
through?
plug in a number,
I got
tangent
cutouts
does
at night and I'm
something
running
that
this
says,
bitch
hey,
along.
take the output, and multiply it by 3. Output multiplied by 3 is going to stretch
So you
that
can
out.
graph that. And that's my test. You got to walk in, find the paperwork. That's firstly. I didn't do all of them. Some of them are mine. They still don't got it fucking done.
I had to adjust
And
my graph a
even if
little
you
bit,
did,
but here we go.
still be
So if we're
filling
going
it
to
in.
put these
So,
now adjusted
can't figure
or
'em out.
stretched out key points, negative pi 4 comma negative 3, that's here.
But this is actually a simulation. Just a small board. You
And
know how long it took me
positive
to do that?
4,
This
positive
NTF
pi
right
4
here,
comma
this
positive
acid
3.
strip for you to see on bar. I was fucking I was.
And so this is going to be a very skinny looking graph. So this
RIPD,
goes
man.
all the way from negative infinity to positive infinity on that
AR
y-axis.
670-1 grooms this in a different standard. I just drop it
horizontally
straight
arrow.
over heat vex guy Q25 terminal position and be like clickety click click click. I work at McDonald's and would you like some fries with that, yo? Because guess what? Them stock
And that's
numbers
a
when you see
decent
it popping
picture
up
of
through
what
here on
tangent
these
looks
things
like
start to
in
make a
what we'd say
difference.
is the
That's
first
just a
period. So
recon
negative
on
pi
some
over 2, pi over
fundamentals
2.
of
This
tracking the
has just been
rabbit
stretched out a little bit
with the
vertically.
Lorenzos,
And I hope that
right?
makes sense
The
to you. I hope
thing
you're
is
seeing
banging
the
around.
idea. I really hope you're seeing
Rev
the
pop.
similarity
You
of
pull
sine
up
and cosine.
Lorenzos,
That we've
get
gone
this
through the same
thing
steps.
into that
Now,
graph.
oftentimes
put you
you'll have to give
right
yourself
there.
another cycle. So take this and expand it. Now, how we do that?
You do it here, you can
Just
do it
take
here.
and add
You
your
can get this
period,
thing going
whatever
real
you
good,
have
and
here.
they would
Add
all
it to
sam
the
across
end or
this thing
subtract
to
it from
end
the
certain
end
results
of your
by
period.
IH.
So pi over
It's
2
going to be
plus
pi
well,
H.
pi over
You know.
2
When you get in
plus
Penrose's
2
twisted
pi over
theory,
2
he
giving 1 pi is 3 pi over 2.
I took it down. But Z theory is a tighter model. It's just X, Y, M1, M2,
That's
T.
going to give us another
Right.
end
So
of a
it just
different
this
period. So
winds up being
another
some
period of this
cuneiform
is
stuff
this
way
plus
back
pi is
at
pi over 2.
esoterics,
Pi over 2 plus pi is 3
eschatology.
pi over 2.
When you get
In
playing
the
with the
center of that
toggle,
is just pi.
toggle build. So I just toggle build it, keep dropping them up. Your
Now
brain
that
does
should
the
make sense.
process
The center
algorithm
here
on
is
what
0.
it does.
0
Yeah,
plus
here we're
pi
going
is
from the
pi,
snowflake
and
this
gives me
way,
another
arbitrarily
center
positive
of a
1,
different
negative 1.
period.
But
and so we can again
Simply
draw
paradox,
another vertical
right?
asymptote.
Dimensional
We can find our
analysis
quarters.
on
We can put an
causal
x-intercept
time
at
and
the center of
potential.
that period.
Who fuck knows? You know, if I give it mass,
So
I
I've gone ahead
gravity,
and I've
general
done that. Put my
relativity,
vertical
anything I
asymptote,
wing
put
into
my
that,
x-intercept at the
anything at
center of that
any
different period.
value
I've also taken
gives me
down
a
my
graphing
quarters, 3
index
pi
of
over
what
4 and
Penrose is
5 pi over
talking
4.
about.
How do you
Now
have
this
that?
is a cleaner index
There's a
because it
couple
gives
ways
me
you can-
marginal preparedness.
Number one,
It gives
you
me an
could
operator on a
average
polarizing
1 pi
wave
and
function
3
once
pi over
this
2.
has to be
You do
something
that if you
different.
want to.
Second step,
You could also take your first
A,
period and
tan,
just
A
add pi.
cost, but
So
there's a
pi
whole
over 4
matrix to
plus
that thing.
pi
At
is
the
5 pi over
limitless
4.
is what I do believe
And
that
base
is
pi over
X
4
plus
plus pi
B,
is 3
because
pi
we're
over
giving
4.
two phase
I
up
do
on the
it with
bop.
fractions.
That's
I just take a list
base.
and think
But
about
we're
this
14
like 1/4
trigonometry,
one
so
fourth plus
this would
one whole pi
end
to
2
4
real
fourths.
quick.
That's 5/4.
We are here, supposed to know that, but I wouldn't know that, so I end with half it every time. Stone mill, bang, stone mill, bang. Get those graphs, you guys get in the psych problem on it. it. And
yeah, that says negative pi over 4, but what it really
like I said,
stands
does he
for
do the
is
computer program?
first
Does he make him do the
quarter of your
graphing
period,
on what
comma,
any Excel
negative
to
3. Okay,
pumping
so
out
here's
stuff
the
can do?
first
Because
quarter
there's
of my
already
period,
built
comma,
M2.
negative 3.
Clickety click, bang.
And this stands for the third quarter of my period. So first, second, third.
You'll notice me do it every single time because I don't necessarily need it mathematically this well. It's every one of them's going to hit across this unless you built one matrix to. I can't necessarily graph the stone mill or an engineering problem directly off of this because otherwise you're hitting Pensrose straight off of multi-worlding circumstances of Schrödinger, IH, derivative, that's bing, 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 so I don't know which computer matrix they're using. It would be,
I hope that you understand the technique of graphing that I'm
well, I went to straight up Droid. I was just, okay. And if I know some basic Droid button, XYZ controls,
because it really doesn't have to change. So that's what I would like you to do. Hopefully it makes sense on what we're talking about for the key points.
Take a break here a minute. I'm going to get this off first.
It's negative pi over 4. It's the first
Before
quarter
we
where
close
the
out.
period is.
Even now, we still got the whole bottom graph. I don't know if you'll still do class now.
Period centers on 0.
Hitting a guy in the break room is right. That is the right answer. Water cooler stuff, just turn it over.
It's pi
So,
tangent, and then we adjust
this,
that and center it on 0.
make it a click.
Right now, let's go ahead and let's look at.
But controls, dialogue, and list. It's pretty straightforward. Because to actually cut it
Discover
down,
matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year. It's amazing because Discover's accepted at 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
no.
So now that we have y equals negative 2 tangent 3x plus 1, maybe you can start identifying what's going to happen here.
Like I said, go back. We start tearing down that murder button.
That plus 1, that's going to be a vertical
There was
shift
actually
of
steps
1.
between this.
We should
And
understand that
every one of
3 is going to
those,
start
and
cutting
every one of
the
those have a
period. What's that
different
mean?
what?
That means it's gonna
Name,
make it
like fill
horizontal
center,
press.
task. I need the
That
button do
3
first. I need
takes that
some
number and
straight
divides it.
off
That's
the
what's
hop
gonna
function.
happen. So you
0,
pi over 3.
1.
Centered
Get
at 0
the-
means pi restricted negative pi
Get
restricted.
the
We'll get to that in a
button
second.
running,
But
Ben
that's
Eater.
when you
Hello
shorten this
world
period. What that
on
means is gonna
done
vertically
already.
horizontally compress this
So
graph. What's that
the
negative 2 do?
alphabetically
That negative
gravity,
2 is going
you
to
could do
reflect
something
this
because it's
and
more
vertically
practical,
stretch
but
it. So there's
alphabetically
4
is
transformations here.
practical to an
Up
M2
1,
or
horizontally
XYZ
compress,
phase, T,
vertically stretch,
grid,
and then reflect it.
and then
I
reflect.
hope you're seeing that. Let's go ahead and let's do it now.
Yeah,
So
not
the
straight
first
up.
thing that
You
we
always
deal
catch me on the mirror
with
for it.
pretty
Doesn't
much
mean
any sort
anything,
of
but
our
it can when I
transformations is
actually
a
handle
vertical
this up
shift.
and you trip.
Since that says plus
It's a
1,
button.
this is a vertical
You know,
shift
it has
up
limits
1.
over
We're gonna do
graphing
that.
on some of those things, so if I do
The other
it
thing that
or
we're going to do
recognize
is
you,
take
I
a
gotta
look
watch
at our
out the kill
period.
agent
Tangent and
inside here
cotangent are
about
the only two tree
snap.
functions that have a period of just pi and not 2 pi. And so we're going to take a look at that and go, okay, if our period is just pi, we're
Well,
going to
there's
take and divide
60,
whatever
it
that
starts
pi
to
is, whatever the period
recognize
is,
what
by whatever
A1
that
does.
number is. That's 3. So what this does is it says take your period and make it smaller. That squishes your graph. That's called a horizontal
Delport Daily,
compression.
here we go.
So here's what's
This little
our
bad
period is
puppy
now
over
pi
here,
over
Memo.
3. What's pi over 3 do? Pi over 3
All this
is the period of tangent.
Luigi's private path to
but
Princess
it's
Peach's
centered at
mushroom
0.
hut.
So this
Is
goes
not
back to
gonna
exactly
necessarily.
what
I don't
was
think
talking
this one
about
comes
here.
up, but
We're
Memo.
about to put our period on the graph.
And get you
Remember,
into some
tangent
basic
centers at
systems.
0.
Oh, I can
So what do we do?
emphasize
We
stuff
said
that
if
fills
this
out
period
certain
centers at 0,
categories.
there's gonna be pi over
Because
2,
I know it
half of this to the
emphasizes a
right,
thing,
and
I
negative
use
pi over
that
2, half
processing
of this to the
time,
left.
or
Let's do the
but it
same
has a
thing.
direct equation
Let's
of
say
being a
this is pi over
resistor,
3,
a
half
transistor,
of
some
that's gonna be to the
IH
right of
Ben
0.
Eater making
Let's see,
the
pi over 3
Ben
divided by
Eater
2 is pi over
in the
6.
Carl
How do we do
Sagan
that?
bigger
If you
universe,
wanna
the
ever
M1
divide
to
that number
M2
by
on
2,
some of those in
you
my
can multiply
process
the denominator
algorithm
by 2
on
and do the same thing.
how
So
straight
pi
I
over
can make
3
that
divided
thing
by
out
2
of the
is
parts,
same
the
thing as
wave
pi
function of the
over
Archer
3 times 2,
paradox
that's
for
pi
some
over
of
6.
these
So
values
this
on
period
X and
is
Y
gonna go from
polarizing and
negative pi over
EM
6
waves
to
being
0 to positive
EM
pi over 6.
mathematically
That's gonna
in
be
a
that
certain
interval. That's
Jacobian
gonna make
matrix,
sense. It's
that
gonna make
perfect
sense that
square,
pi over
perfect
3
square, and then I'm
being
going
split
1,
right down the middle at
2,
0
3.
is gonna be
Otherwise, I'm going to
negative
stack
pi
a
over 3
bunch
being
of
split
lot
down
of
the middle is
stuff
gonna
on a
be
field
negative
theory
pi over
class
6 to positive pi over 6. Let's put that.
that
I'm going to put it in 2
is
places.
good 0.
And you can
But
actually do it
I
right now.
can't graph the
You can always
students
find
from here,
distance
but
between two
the
numbers by
notation is
subtracting
it
them.
worked
So
for
pi over
something.
6 minus
For certain
negative pi over 6,
standards,
so that's negative
mathematically,
adding, that's 2 pi over 6 or pi over 3. this has a period of pi over 3 just like
You
we
got
want.
500
It's centered at 0.
subscribers on mathematicians. I don't
Just
know
like
if
we said,
mathematicians
this
do. Now,
tangent
let's
has
take the
0
guy
at
with
the
the
center of that
Pokeball out.
period, and that's exactly what we have. We have not shifted this left or right. This does not have a phase
Because
shift,
I
is
go,
what that's called. So that's great.
So if he's got
You'll
that,
also
it works.
notice
I
that
just go,
the period
I make sure
on
I'm
my
marketing the
x-axis
psych on
and
this
where
because
I
I'm
shifted this. So this is
the
gonna
value
act
would
like our
be very
x-axis. As
different.
far as our
You're
key points
motivated,
are-
you're coming in with
are,
influence, you drunk the night
As far as the key points are
before,
regarded,
bar
this
at
is
the
going to act
bar.
like that. We're going to do everything from there. Even though
You
it's
know,
not really there.
because
It
it's
shifts
tight.
the whole graph up. It's a nice graph.
I'm looking at my internal house. I'm saying, you're on a graph.
So
This
we've done
is
that, now we gotta
Formula
find
because I
the
want to be able
order
to
of our
review
period.
those
So
things, and I
I've
usually
done-
do for other things. Sharp's looking at
Find the shift up. We got it. Find the period. We have it.
and you're going to want me to
Center
do
at
it.
0 for
Why?
tangent.
Because the long game,
Problem.
the
Half to the
numbers.
right, half to the left.
If I
We got
if
that.
I was
Pi
a
over
sharps
3
or a
divided by 2 is
salty
pi over
inside here, my
6.
job's graph
And now we
students,
find the
graph
quarters. So the quarters
certain
of the
results to
period
the
say,
tail line on
find
what these
out
things do
what
and say,
this
that's your field
distance
theory,
is,
kiddo.
and divide it by 2. You can always do this by averaging that if you want
You
to.
put psych in
So
there.
pi
Well,
over
it gives me a
6
review
plus
because I had
0
a,
is pi
one of
over
my
6
contracts,
divided
I'm
by 2 is pi over
co-seek it
12.
here, is the
Now we're gonna
Master
take care of the
Masons
key
to Master
features that
Masons about how we
tangent has.
judge people.
At the ends of the
Because
periods,
they're
you've already
gonna be
identified
weird
a
about
couple of them.
timelines. Yeah, I
We're
gotta
gonna
talk
put a
about the
vertical
Terracotta Army
At the
with
center
the
of
Master
period, we're
Mason.
gonna
I
put
chose to
x-intercept.
grave somebody.
Please keep in
They
mind
make different
that
lines.
x-intercept is
They
based on where
turn
it's
on
shifted
crew to
So
whether
that's
they
why
stay
we
or
put
they don't go.
that horizontal
Gotta
dotted line to
know
say,
the
Hey, this
problem.
thing's acting like our x-intercept.
Because
We're gonna put
degrees,
our x-intercept
different
there.
standards.
Yeah, I know it's not on the
And
x-axis.
and
but
what that
because we
does, well, you
shifted
line them
that
up on the crew,
x-intercept,
smoke them,
even
let
though
the
it's not one
all
really
take
gets
take
shifted
it because
with
it's
it.
a middle ground. Remember those three
So
phases
now we've got our
inside here?
vertical asymptotes
Temperatures. Well,
at the
this
ends
is
of our
temperature
period.
about the
The tangent
universe
has an
and
x-intercept in the center.
you know how
But because we
love's
shifted
right
it,
hand
this
got
acts like
an
our
M2.
x-intercept. We
This
think
is
x-axis
oxygen,
right here, even though I know
helium.
it's not really there, but it helps us out. Great graphic organizer.
E0.
Now that we've done
I am
that,
E0.
now that we've
I
identified
factor
the
that
period, we
because
put
they
it on
make it a
this vertically
sunshine for
shifted
you solar
graph of
cells
one
to
unit. We have
do
our
it, and that's why they
asymptotes at the ends with
program
our x-intercept
fusion
at the center.
generate
We now deal
like
with our key
that.
points. So remember, tangent has first quarter negative
Number
1,
one's
third
Upper
quarter positive 1. All we have to do is know
No,
the
you
quarters.
can't go too big with
We've
it, but
done
like I
that.
said, if the
That's
graphs are
exactly
good, and I'm
what
just
that
like,
tells you.
hey, Salty from the cops, you want to just, you're great, outstanding, camera proof, legal precedence on, I don't need your fucking
So
bar,
because our
I'll walk
first
in that
quarter
Supreme
of our
Court
period
and
is
own it.
negative pi over 12, and our third quarter is
Right.
positive pi over 12.
Now, there's difference
These are
between
our, let's call
statistical
them
analysis
original
of putting
key
somebody
points.
away and
Okay, what
actually
happens
saying,
They
hey,
get
the case
manipulated,
from
they
Zach,
change because we have that
or
negative 2.
I think it's Zach
That
over there, my
negative 2 is a
integral
factor.
algebra
Factors
tool guy,
multiply stuff.
just
What do they
bang,
multiply?
bang, bang,
They
going
multiply
off
the
right now,
outputs. And so if we have our
hammering one
first
in,
quarter and third
says
quarter,
he did one
we know
about
that tangent
STEM on
normally
why
does
you
first quarter
gotta
1
watch math.
and first quarter negative 1 and third quarter positive
They
1.
want to,
Now
it
we're
was
going
good
to
proof,
stretch
but
these and reflect
today
it.
is
That negative 2 does
2021.
both of those jobs for us. So we multiply the output by that.
You have a case study on teaching people is the baseline on that. It's like, now that I know what I'm looking at here, I don't need to worry about that because this winds up being the number. And if I'm wrong, evidence proves it. Like, go out there, find the moon. This is that line. I'm going to just get you to know the code, which is
And that
M1,
gives us our new key
M2.
points.
You need to
I know
stay on
there's a
that
lot
one
going
longer,
on here.
pull off of
I'm
this
not
one.
really taking it easy
Yeah.
on some of these graphs and making sure that we really understand all about
It's
it. And trade
limited
functions
time
can
on
be
system,
a
and
bit
so
more difficult
some of
because
that
we're
plays
not as
through.
familiar with them.
I'm
But
not going to
I
Hulk
really
it.
hope that you're seeing
2020.
this is the same exact process I've been teaching for a long time. It's deal with your vertical shift, show it, recognize what type of function it is, and show some key
two
features of it.
drill
Like,
sergeants
hey,
in there
vertical
hammering out the
asymptotes
class
happen
and
at
just
some
letting them be
period,
students
x-intercept
and
center.
just putting down the
Understand
math.
key points
Just
about it.
bang,
First
bang,
quarter negative
bang.
1, third
I'm
quarter
deep
positive
into
1,
the
and
thesis
understand
on
what this does. That factor multiplies outputs.
field theory.
So now we have,
MOS is a different
hey,
animal.
this is
Like
gonna
I
be in
said,
the
this is going
first
to go
quarter.
into
I don't care if
anthropology
it's
of
negative
Hancock a
12, I
little
care that that's the
different.
first
Just a
quarter mark of my period. So the first quarter positive 2.
little
right?
different. Got to take a break
It's-
here in a minute.
It's based on where we shifted to, though, isn't it? Because we shifted that up. It's based on that. This is kind of like our baseline,
You
our
gotta have
benchmark
it.
right here.
Well, I do
That's
a couple
where
of
we're
them.
at.
Again,
Our
just
key
John
points
or
are in relation to
Justin's,
that.
just a few
So
of
we
their
treat
spots. I was
this like a
doing
new exit
a different point of view.
It's not really there. We get it. We understand the idea behind it.
Scout.
So first quarter,
And I
comma,
did it
positive 2.
using a cost because I'll back it up because it's good. It's old school
Third
good
quarter,
on
comma,
XYZ up
negative 2.
here. Transform transform it over into limitless tan and cosecant
And if we do
here,
that, we
and
have
you put it down.
first quarter
Yeah,
positive,
but then there's
third
some
quarter
game I was like,
negative.
no,
So
the
when we
real,
show
he's got
these
enough
shifts,
mathematically
up and
to
down,
pump it
left
down
and right
across,
phase shift,
putting
we
down
base our
big
key
dogs,
points
Bernoulli,
on that new
putting it down.
sort of
Now,
X and Y axis.
same team.
Yeah, it's not really there.
So I
It's
sell
just
it.
a
They hit
really
Bernoulli.
neat way to
I know
do it.
Bernoulli.
So that's what
I'm
we're gonna
Bernoulli.
do. So the true
Thank you,
points are
Bernoulli.
negative
Thank you, no
pi over 2,
Carl.
comma 3, and positive pi over 2, pi over 12, sorry,
Egg
comma
roll and
negative 1.
fucking
Those are the real points. We're just
cosmonaut over there.
using this to get a good graph, and it's very effective. So now we're going to graph it.
There's a reason. There's a reason for it. And like I said, it becomes a useful code when I step
And
into
that behaves exactly how we thought it would. Shift it
walkthrough.
up,
Is 4
shorten
pi.
this way,
It's
and then
quadrants over
reflect it
this
and
system.
stretch, and that's exactly the graph
Kind
that
of
we get.
first
If
step,
you had
I'm
to do
gonna
another
jump a
cycle,
big step. Now that's
then we're
bacon
gonna
and apple
add
pie.
whatever this
Everything
period
between
is to
making
it.
a
Remember,
well,
we're
peanut
not
butter and
adding
jelly
pi
sandwich.
right now. We're adding whatever this period is. This is the period
Now
of
look
this
up
particular
factory.
function. It was based on pi, but we divided
He
it by 3.
kept pulling it down,
So
and
we
you
take
said,
pi over 6,
that's
and we would add
scal
pi over 3.
on. Well, literally, I
pi
meant
over
to
6
make you
plus
see the.
pi over
Huh,
3.
interesting.
Pi over
On
6 plus
scale,
pi
that
over 3,
was
that's like 2 pi over
just
6, that'd be
big
3
scale,
pi
little
over
scale,
6,
big
pi over
scale,
2.
little scales, but
And I
scale.
hope that makes sense. I hope that you're seeing that and that you also understand that
You want to see my
0
4x4?
plus
You want to see? You want to
whatever
see?
that is going to be pi over 3. So 0 plus pi over 3, that
That's
should
this
give you
bad
another
puppy right
center
here,
of your
because it
period.
is
That's
this
exactly what
class,
that does.
right?
So
You
we
know,
draw a
it's
vertical asymptote.
it's game
We add
theory on
pi to
House
all of
about
these corners,
business,
and we get
or
exactly the same.
AR
I'm going to show
15-0-1.
you right now, but I'm going to not go through it very slowly. I'm going to
Well, wherever
just
you
kinda
want to
show
park a
you the
nuclear
graph.
reactor, really.
Honestly, the hardest part for students is usually dealing with these fractions. How I do it, I just start adding whatever that is. So negative pi over 12 plus pi over 3.
We go
That's
log chain
3
around
pi
this
over
thing
12,
for a little
or pi
while.
over 4. And then 1 pi over 12 plus pi over 3, that's going to be
And that's what's
5
interesting
pi
about
over
that
12.
thesis,
Use
isn't
your
it?
calculator. Use your fraction method calculator. Usually works pretty well. Now, what's important about it? What's important to understand, that stands for now
3B,
your
1B.
first
Usually I
quarter and
plan
third
on
quarter.
standing
We already
E2
know
for
that.
him.
We know that this
I'll
is
jump
first quarter
E4
too.
and take out
So
E8.
first quarter from here,
That's
from
fine.
where we shifted this.
Because the up tops would. They'd be like, Leonard,
First
and
quarter
it's like, well,
positive 2,
sure.
third
You're playing
quarter
Bowser,
negative
I'm
2
being
from
Marshmallow.
Here. That's 1, 2.
Well, like I said, Mario's all about, first round hit, it's Bowser's kind of, well, you got to know some of the thesis is behind this and collapse some of that wave function back to a
We should
point.
get just a repeat of that same.
Look at that.
Oh, it's making sense. I'm explaining it to you in a way that you understand. I'm
So,
really hoping that
yeah,
you
I
understand
need to
that
take a break too.
these key points come from your